Hello folks, and a very warm welcome to this edition of the Supplier Spotlight podcast. My name is Liam Ball, I'm your magical wedding host, also known as the Gentleman Magician. And as always, I keep telling you this, and it's the truth. This podcast exists to shine a light on some of the best people that I've met in the wedding industry. The suppliers are going to bring something different and memorable and a little bit magical to your wedding day. Now, if you are enjoying these conversations, as always, please do make sure you like it, share it, follow it, and send it to somebody who is getting married and planning a wedding, because I promise you the information that we discuss in some of these conversations really can make a massive difference to people who are planning a wedding day to help them make it easier and make better, more informed decisions about their suppliers. Now, today's guest is an artist, a live event illustrator, somebody who captures moments not through a lens or on a screen, but by documenting the atmosphere of a day in a completely unique way. This is a service that blends creativity and entertainment and memories all in one. She's got a really distinctive style and a really wonderful ability to turn fleeting moments into something tangible and personal. And it's a real pleasure today to welcome Kat from Wisp Wonder Illustrations. Hey Kat, how you doing?
Hi Liam, I'm really good, thank you. How are you?
I am fabulous, thanks very much. How's life been treating you recently?
It's been good. It's been busy. I've done a wedding fair recently. Lots and lots of stuff going on behind the scenes and working on my website. Only children.
Yeah.
All the works, everything.
That's it. That's one of those things, isn't it, when you work for yourself? Life is constant, but you've still got to keep doing the things that keep you doing what you're doing.
Yes. Life is constant. There's always things in play, but you've just got to take it on the chin, keep going.
That's right.
I definitely live by that motto on a daily basis. You just want to keep going.
It's a great way to live. Well, I'll tell you what. Let's get really into the meat of this conversation, because of course you're a live event artist. In fact, there's some great examples there in the background of the kind of work that you do. What was it that brought you into doing illustration? In fact, how did you even get started? Because this to me, this is like magic. I look at people that do the kind of thing that you do, and I was watching you do what you do, and I was like, this is the best thing I've ever seen. How did you discover that it was a thing that you could do?
So it sort of all started in 2020. If we're going to go right back to the very start of it all, I, like a lot of people, lost my job during COVID. Nowhere was hiring, and it was coming up to Christmas. I moved in with my partner's parents, and I just needed some way to make money. And you know what? I knew I could paint. It's coming up to Christmas. No one can go out to the shops. I thought, I can paint. I could, start doing some Christmas presents and things for people. So I advertised my services, and Kat's Art and Illustrations was born. I did it for 2 months. It actually did amazingly well. But come the end of those 2 months, I think sort of around December time, when I sent off that last painting.
Yeah.
And even though I was getting more inquiries, I was going, no. And I completely lost the love for painting completely. I didn't pick up a paintbrush again for 2 years. And the reason being, I'd just become an artist for hire to the whimsy of whatever customer got in touch for what they wanted. So like painting cats, goats, people, houses, and very little of it was anything that I felt passionate about.
Yeah.
And quite often I'd get photos I didn't like working from as well. Rainy, no colour. So I didn't paint again for a good 2 to 3 years. And then during maternity leave with my second child, so in this time I had a child.
Yeah.
And was on to number 2. And after COVID, I hadn't managed to find a job that I liked, constantly throwing CVs into the ether. And I sort of thought, you know what, I want to revisit my art business.
Yeah.
And it was at this point that Wisp Wonder Illustrations was born, because I think I was just scrolling through Instagram, and one day an advert for a live wedding artist came up, and incredibly different to anything that I'd ever make. But I was really inspired, and I thought, what a great business venture, something that gives me control of my diary. It's something that I feel passionate about. I love weddings. I've always wanted to go into weddings. That's a dream of mine. And it almost like suddenly everything just clicked, everything aligned. And it fits in perfectly with family life as well. And it was born. I then sat on this idea for like a year, not knowing how to implement it. And I got some amazing mentors then. And since then, it just went strength by strength by strength. But yeah, that's kind of how it all came about.
So, I mean, essentially what I'm hearing here, and I think what happens with a lot of creative people is that you had a hobby and you had a passion for doing something artistic. And then you thought, I could probably monetize this. And then you kind of hit that wall where you were like, right, this is not what I started doing this for.
Yeah. So
take a step back, and then of course, with a little bit more experience, it was a matter of discovering the thing that you loved. So how did you even, I mean, how did you get into art and painting? Because me, I struggle to pick up a pencil and draw a straight line most days.
Oh, so this is like a really funny background for me. So, I did art at school. I failed at anything academic, in a way. So I did psychology and I failed that in the first year. So I went down to only designing technology and fine art at school. So that was kind of like the start of the streamline. From there, I did an art foundation course at university, which I absolutely adored. And then from there, and this is where it goes a little bit haywire, I did lingerie design at university.
Okay.
And honestly, the best course I could have ever done. It was amazing. It's very niche. It's very intricate and beautiful. And I think as well, that's where Wisp and Wonder and thinking about my background really fit together, like as a name. Because, you know, lingerie would even fit into sort of Wisp and Wonder, wouldn't it? With lace and details. And working on something small. But that's kind of where my joy for doing something creative and very design led. And what's funny is that live illustration, when I started doing it, I told people that's what I was going to do. The response I got was actually, oh, you're going to like draw people's outfits then? And I thought, oh, people see it as drawing outfits. With fashion illustration, that's where it really all comes together. In a way, so it's sort of like it's meeting artistry, but it's also bringing into it that love for drawing clothing. And I also love that the way that I do it. Even though I don't put faces on my drawings, they're recognizable. I've been to a wedding fair before where another supplier came over and said to me, oh, I know that person from one of my drawings. And I thought, oh, that's the first time that's ever happened to me. And these people lived hours away. So I never thought that there's any chance that someone could actually know someone on my table. I
mean, I think what fascinates me there, because I've seen quite a number of live event artists, right? And of course, there's so many different styles, even in a similar medium, like drawing a person, right? There are so many different styles that people can have. I think I saw one a couple of years ago where they were drawing everybody almost like a little caricature of themselves.
Yes.
Which was really interesting.
I love the caricatures. I just can't do it.
Yes. Again, same. But of course, one of the things that I loved about it was that, you know, you had these people at a wedding who were all kind of posing, and then the artist just there kind of sketching these little tiny, you know, sort of postcard size caricatures of them, and it was just such a wonderful thing. But then, of course, you're right, because just the shape of somebody's face and how they hold themselves and stand and the way that they dress. I think all of these things are sort of markers of the identity of who a person is, right? And I guess that's what you're focusing on capturing on the day.
Yeah, so when I sort of made the decision, this is what I was going to move into. One of my first things that I then did, I think I spent probably a month working out what my style was going to be.
Yeah.
Because I love working in watercolor. I love pen work. But what I really struggle with is I am such a perfectionist. And what really upset me was that I was looking at it and I was going, I've drawn their outfit. I've kind of made it look like them. On the day, you would know it was them because that's what they're wearing.
Yeah.
But I just felt like I want to look at that and think, whoa, I made that. And I wanted it to feel like a really polished and finished piece of art.
Yeah.
So that's when I suddenly thought to myself, like, I could do it on my iPad, and using a digital medium gave me I don't know how to describe it. It just kind of like gave a completely different feel to the painting because it was so polished. And also it then kind of fed into the idea that I wanted to make sure that everybody got to walk away with one. Downside to a watercolor painting, unless you limit one person to a page, only one person's going to get that painting. So
Yeah.
You're never going to do groups of people unless they're immediate family and they will live together. And if they want a copy of it, they'll have to go home and photocopy it.
Okay.
So for me, that was like really important in developing my style, was something that I was really proud of. And most important thing was something I could make in bulk. If that makes, as in, I needed to be able to draw it really quickly.
Yeah.
And that was very important. And being a perfectionist with watercolor, I wasn't quick. And then, and then sort of it all kind of accumulated together and this whole idea formed. And that's how my style came about.
So I'm thinking about this, and I mean, I just love the concept of having a live event artist just walking around with a tablet, who sketches and draws and paints and colours. Print. How many would you like? 6. We'll print 6 for you.
Yeah.
Which
and
of course,
original.
Indeed, yeah. But also it's something that you could never ever do other than that. And of course the beauty of, I mean, I get the curse of perfectionism, because I've very much got it. And I'm one of my mantras daily is that done is better than perfect. Done is better.
That's become mine too.
But I think people who don't struggle with that don't understand that, yes, done may be better than perfect, but I still want it to be perfect. I like to be done and perfect. That would be nice. So of course you've got this ability to create this wonderful art, and I guess email it to people and send it to people and I kind of collage it and what have you, and you can almost do it where I'm going to make it sound super simple now, and it's not, where you can put a stroke and go, oh, that's not quite right, undo, go again, no, undo, go, oh, that's the one, and then the next one, which makes it sound like it's a really simple thing to do. And of course it's anything but, because it's years of experience and knowledge and know-how and talent and art and skill that means that you can walk up to somebody, scratch on your iPad for 2 minutes and suddenly go, how's that? And they go, wow, that's amazing. But of course, I couldn't do that. I couldn't do that in 3 days, never mind 3 minutes.
Yeah. I mean, if you actually look at, I think a lot of people would look at what all of us live artists do and kind of go, I could do that.
Yeah.
And then, but if I turned around and said, right, here's my, I'd go, here's my iPad. And they would also go, all right, here's my paper, here's my pens, here's my watercolors.
Yeah.
And they'd go, oh. And not only that, but then start a timer because it's also the pressure. There's a lot of pressure on a wedding day to get them all out. And actually, you know, the whole point in it is that, yes, with a bit of time, if you're good at art, or you know how to use the programs, you know, over time you could develop something to emulate that. But no, like nobody, I would never turn around to another live artist and be like, I could do what you do.
Yeah.
And in their styling,
I think that's what
how they run.
Yeah, I think that's the experience of mutually shared respect. You know, I mean, I know hundreds of other magicians and magical performers who are all wonderful, and one of the reasons that makes them all individually wonderful is they're all individually unique. And you know, there are so many times when I've kind of watched somebody and thought, that's brilliant. I couldn't do that like that. I could maybe do that effect, or you know, but I couldn't do it like that. And while I probably could, it wouldn't be authentically genuine for me to do it in that manner, because that's not me. And I guess there's quite a lot of crossover there as well with visual media and art like that. But of course, also it's respect, and I think as well, and one of the underlying things here is that this isn't people just about saying this is my style and therefore it's protected and you can't touch it. It's also being able to look in a mirror and go, wow, do you know what? I really love the way that you captured that tiny little detail, and that makes me wonder. I wonder if I can use that thinking to almost just that one tiny little detail. If I can use the thinking process behind that, what can I use to apply that to make my own work better? Right? And that, of course, is the progression of art, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, no artist now can truly claim in a way that it is wholeheartedly unique. Nobody's done it before, because the whole point in art is to gain inspiration from what's come before and then make it your own. And there was a quote at school by Picasso, which was, bad artists copy, good artists steal.
Yes.
And it's the idea that if you just took someone else's artwork and copied it, you can't really claim it as your own.
Yeah.
But if you steal elements of that and then develop it, you've got something unique, you've got something amazing, and it's growth.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's always stuck with me, that quote.
Yeah.
Just
I think, you know, it's that whole thing, standing on the shoulders of giants, isn't it? Learning from the people that came before, because they did it, and now I can pick up on that element, and what can I add to it so that the next generation look and go, wow, that person really made something out of that, which is brilliant.
Yeah.
Right, let's get back to, I mean, listen, I could talk about this all day, but let's get back to weddings for a second. So,
yeah.
I want you to cast your mind back for me. You've gone to your first wedding, you've walked in, nobody knows who you are. I know that feeling well. You pull your iPad out, you do your first sketch of somebody, and then you give it to them. How did that feel?
Amazing. Honestly, amazing. I think the first time for doing this at a wedding, I felt very nervous. I also thought I'd got there early, and I actually turned up and everybody was already there at the bar, drinking. And the wedding wasn't set to start for another hour. Afterwards, I asked the bride about it, and she had no idea that the place had been filled an hour before it was meant to start.
Wow.
She said someone's obviously found out there's a bar.
Yeah.
And spread the word.
Yeah.
So everyone was already there. And because of that, people were watching me set up and they were sort of going, what's this? But yeah, handing out that very first illustration was like, I did it, I've made it, and let's keep going. Let's keep this momentum. Like, let's keep it going and get out as many as I can. And the response throughout the day, I was in the foyer and the response of people sort of walking in and out between spaces was just amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I managed to capture so much from that day. Just not necessarily on camera for social media, but for myself. Which was just really special.
Yeah. And I mean, I guess there must also be this moment when, because there has to be, because I get this, there has to be this little voice inside that goes, they're gonna hate it, they're gonna hate it, and you give it to them and they look and they go, oh wow, that's amazing, and you kind of go, wee, I did it again.
Yes. I'm not gonna lie, this is a really funny one. I did have I felt really unsure whether or not to share this.
Yeah.
It's funny. I did actually have one bride once came to have a look at her illustration, and her first thing, and I caught this on camera, and the first thing she said was, oh, you could have made me thinner. And I just went, hold on 1 second, went into my iPad, opened it up, and redrew her silhouette, and then printed it within, while she was stood there watching, printed it, it came out and she went, oh, yes!
That's amazing. Yeah.
And again, this is a funny thing as well, is that about artwork, and this actually really helped me with being a perfectionist, because it basically said at some point as an artist you have to leave your realism behind. So at some point you have to deviate from
Literal artistic interpretation, right?
Exactly, it's interpretation. And at the end of the day, because in regard to art, you're creating something that is potentially going to be displayed in small time for years to come.
Yeah.
So, little things like that, I absolutely can make changes. If somebody comes to me beforehand and says, I feel anxious about this because of it can be their weight, it can be their hair, it could be a tattoo on their arm. They go, I don't want that in there. And the great thing about artwork is it's not a photo.
Yeah.
It's art. And I can, of course, interpret people how they want to be seen, how they feel.
Yeah.
In themselves.
I mean, within reason, though, right?
And that's important. Yes.
Because, if somebody walked up and said, hey, make me look like Spider-Man, that's,
I mean, if they go make me look like Spider-Man, I'd probably just put a Spider-Man mask in there.
Which yeah.
Which, so, you know what, now I kind of want that.
Yes. Yeah, well. So how would you describe your illustration style?
How would I describe it? I would describe it as... I didn't necessarily prepare for the question of how I would describe my style, but it is a kind of a mix of modern and traditional.
Yeah.
It's modern in the sense that obviously I do it on my iPad, but it is still traditional in the sense that it is all hand-drawn, and it very much does kind of follow that traditional styling of like a fashion illustration. So I'd also say I'd like to say it's realism, very much realism, because I'm not just trying to capture your likeness, I'm trying to capture you as well within that. So as you said before, it is a likeness, but it's capturing their pose, how they hold themselves, and that is actually what makes it look like them. It's not just the outfit or the outline. It is. Yeah. It's just them in a painting.
Yeah.
So, I mean, when we think about that, how do you... So, I mean, you're at a wedding and there's 70, 80 guests there. And of course, you're going to go along, you're going to set up, you're going to do what you do. How do you then balance the number of people that are at the events while maintaining the quality of the output that you do?
Okay, so one of the main things that helps to protect my time, which then protects the amount I can get done and the quality, is I have an assistant with me. So I get there early. Maybe a little bit different to other illustrators as well, is I do not base my packages on time spent. I base it on the amount of people that need to be drawn.
Yeah.
And I very early on decided like I would never limit that number. So having an assistant there absolutely has made it easy for me to achieve that.
Yeah.
But I think that was the other thing about doing digital artwork, is there's a few like little cheats that you can put in there to help speed things up so that I can then focus on detail as opposed to filling a space with color.
Yeah.
And like in terms of getting them out quickly, and juggling that, I think a lot of that also comes down to practicing at home in my free time. I'm always up for doing more illustrations, and it just gives me that time to hone in on that skill, make it quicker, and always refine. But yeah, I think something important, and I have found this out with every artist that I've come across. If you've got 80 people at a wedding, there's no way, unless I had a second artist there with me, that I could do 80 people in a whole day, unless I got there at the crack of dawn. I didn't eat, I didn't drink, didn't go to the toilet. So there is an element of managing expectations before you go in there, and making the happy couple aware that things don't run like clockwork at a wedding. And for example, I hoped at the first wedding I ever went to, the one where everybody was already there, my plan had been to try and capture people before they went into the ceremony.
Okay.
But I couldn't do that because they were already there, they were already mingling, and they'd all split from the people they'd arrived with.
Yeah.
So at that point, I had to make a quick decision, which was to focus instead on setting up my table, and instead we just spread the word that we were there, mainly with people coming in, just making a short introductions, sort of going, oh, don't forget to come back and get your illustration in a little bit.
Yeah.
And it actually worked out really nicely in the end. Yeah, it's just the main thing is managing expectations for the happy couple, being realistic about what I can actually do. I am a person, of not a machine.
Yeah.
And then I think just making sure that I stay on track and
I mean, actually, one of the things that I quite like about what you were talking about there is that you take somebody with you, and I guess in my mind that's the person who's going to go and take quick snapshots that you can do illustrations from, and going to do the printing and take care of the admin. And of course, what I think is important for people to understand here is that ultimately when they book you, you're the artist, and you're going to focus on creating the art, and then you've got somebody else who will do all of the other stuff that kind of goes along with that service, right?
yeah. So I think that's almost one of the sad things for me in a way as well, is, or kind of funny, is that when I go to a wedding, you're absolutely right, I'm just sat there drawing, except for the first couple of photos that I need to grab, where I am sort of helping to build that number quite quickly. It's then my assistant that is going around talking to guests, encouraging them to come back and have a look, and pick up their illustrations later on in the day. She's packaging them, sorting out the prints, and on the day it actually almost feels like people will probably think it's her business almost.
Yeah.
And I'm just sat there sort of like, oh, let's
Get you.
so people see the top of my head.
Yeah, I get you.
Whilst I'm sketching away.
Yeah. So let's say now there's people out there now who thought, gosh, I I didn't even, because I think there are so many people who don't even know that this is a thing. Like, everyone knows about photos and videos, but there are so many people who don't know that this is a thing that you can have, which is just amazing. So somebody's out there, they think, right, I'm going to go check you out. What kind of process can people expect to receive? I mean, how does your sort of booking system work, if you will?
Okay, so this is something that I worked long and hard on, because I very much didn't want for my service the whole focus to just be on the day. A bit like, you hire me, I turn up on the day, I go home, and you'll later receive maybe the last couple of illustrations in the post. I think it's so important, even more so now for weddings, because people really want to know who's on their team, who's one of their suppliers. They want to know who's there on their day, especially capturing guests. This is like a favor that they're putting there with a person. They need to know that you fit in with their day. So right from the start, I'll do a discovery call. As soon as someone gets in touch, I try to get them in with a call to discuss their wedding, what they want their day to look like, what they want it to feel like. I then, something we've not spoken about, so I also do a bespoke design service with my illustrations. There's certain aspects that you can personalize. So I do vellum sleeves for all of the illustrations to sit inside, and these I tailor specifically to your day.
Okay.
So they could have, and that's part of what that consultation is to kind of find out how far along you are in your journey, if you've already sent invites out, save the dates, what your color scheme is. And then from there, I can really streamline and sort of lead things. And so that's sort of like the start of the process with me. From there, I'll go away and I'll make the vellum sleeves. Before I make them in bulk, I always come back to them, get them to check it over, make sure they're happy with it and it aligns with their day. The spa, I have not had a single person go, oh no, I didn't want that. They've all done.
That's down to understanding what they want, right?
Yes. Which luckily I think I've managed to capture the spa. But yeah, so I do that. I also send out a little voucher to the couple pre-wedding. And this is just to kind of remind them, it's reminding them that they're secure, that I'm understanding towards the wedding and their day, but also trying to remind them that planning a wedding shouldn't just be stress, it should also be fun. So I send them a little coffee date voucher.
Oh, that's
so that the next time they're discussing everything wedding, they can do it somewhere nice with a coffee and a cake. So that's something that I do just to kind of add to that excitement, to the build up. Then obviously on the day I turn up, I illustrate for the day, meet all of their lovely guests. And then from there, I will go home. I have a couple of studio days where I will finish off any last minute illustrations. I will then also gather all of the prints, because I then also send out a hamper, which will have the remaining illustrations in for the guests, but also their own set of prints for them to keep themselves.
Oh, wow.
Because, and again, this was another reason I chose digital, because why? You paid all this money to have me there. You love my style. Quite often we've built this rapport as well. And I just kind of think, what a shame that you'll never see these illustrations again, except for when you visit your friend or your auntie and they've got their illustration displayed somewhere in their home. But why should they be the only ones to get them? So I think that's like a really special thing, is that I send them to them in a lovely little hamper, which I design for them. And then they can, add them to their wedding album, and just adds to the feel of the day, really.
Yeah. Oh, do you know what? And it's funny, right? Because I don't think it had landed on me prior to just hearing that there, that a live event artist who's going and doing wonderful illustrations with pens and pencils and watercolors and paints and all of that. And the end product that they're providing is just wonderful. But you're right that the person gets it and goes, that's fabulous. And they put it in their pocket and they go, oh. And of course, the wedding couple have spent all this money on getting an event artist to go there so that their guests can enjoy it. And at the end of the day, the only enjoyment that they themselves are going to get out of that is knowing that their guests had a great time and they're one illustration, maybe two, of themselves. Whereas you're in a whole different league here where you're doing all that on the, and then you go home and then you're like, right, well, I've got all these illustrations. They're all here. They're all saved. I'm going to print one of each of those out and we're going to get that. That's amazing. That is just such a wonderful little thing that I guess people just don't consider.
Yeah, it was like, say, when I was coming up with this whole business plan, I was thinking about, at the time, I hadn't long had my own wedding, and it's just one of those thoughts that I had when I was then looking for inspiration, and trying to pick my medium, that I was like, what a shame. And it was a constant theme that came up was, oh, the bride asked me if I could keep them. And one of the solutions that I'd seen to that, in a way, or like even people were taking them away, and the bride and groom or the happy couple would then come up and be going, oh, I didn't even get to see them all. I never got to see them.
Yeah.
Because they're so busy in the day, sometimes they don't have time to come by the table.
Yeah.
And by the time they do, as much as you can try to save them on the table as long as possible, there reaches a point where it no longer is. Like if I'm packing up and stuff, or guests have started to leave, and that was really that was a problem that I thought, what a shame that they've paid all this money and they've had this wonderful thing at their wedding and they might not even get the chance to see it.
Yeah.
And they definitely don't get to keep it. So that was like a, finding a problem and then coming up with a solution.
And do you know what I love about that is I think that is what makes businesses special, right? Is that somebody who understands, if you book me, there is an immediate and obvious issue with booking somebody who does what I do, which is it's an after issue, right? It's not an issue on the day or in the moment. It's an after issue. There's an immediate after issue that comes up where you go, oh, we didn't even see that. How can I make sure that is something which is still very real for them, hours, days, months, even years after the fact? And of course, in this instance, I think you've nailed it. Wow, that's brilliant. So what would you say then are maybe some of the biggest misconceptions people have about what you do?
Biggest misconceptions is probably, oh, you do digital art. That's not real art.
Must be AI, right?
Must be AI. Yeah, must be AI. Or oh, you're just tracing it. But I tell you what, I don't actually know many artists when they're doing an artwork that won't trace it in some way, unless they're doing sort of like life drawing.
Yeah.
So like caricature artists, of course, would fall into this bracket in that, of course, they're not, that's like a life, creating from life.
Yeah.
And there's an element to it that is what I do. But if you want me to be able to spit these out in bulk, at a fast pace, there is an element to it that we've got to find our little cheats where we can. It's still an original artwork, and it's still absolutely capturing the essence of your guests on the day. And I tell you what, if you look on my Instagram as well, you can see my process for drawing as well, and it's mesmerizing to watch. I find it mesmerizing to watch, and other people are always telling me I've watched that 5 times. And that, it's the fact that it isn't entertainment, and that doesn't take away from the experience.
Yeah.
If anything, it just shows a process.
I think one of the misconceptions that a lot of people certainly have about art. So a couple of years ago, I decided I wanted to learn to draw. I'll be honest, I didn't get very far, but I'm much better now than I used to be. And And one of the things that I remember picking up from sort of reading through that book that I had was, if you want to learn to draw the shape of a face, trace it and do it 100 times with 100 faces, because then you'll learn how the shape of a face changes and what it is. And if you want to learn to draw the shape of a perfect tree, take it and trace it, because you'll learn. And I think that's a really valid medium of both learning art, but also of then creating art, because at the end of the day, people are booking you to come along and create a beautiful, unique, but also accurate piece of artwork about the guests. And you could probably spend hours guessing on where just the right line for that shoulder is, or where the...
Yes, that would be my problem.
Yeah.
That where I'm a perfectionist, I could 100%, if you gave me enough time, like I could do that exact same drawing.
Yeah.
But it would take me so much longer. You'd be like, what have you spent your time doing?
And of course, would then be so much more expensive for that exact
Oh,
reason.
God.
So yeah, gosh, that's amazing. Well, listen, I mean, Kat, this has been such a fantastic conversation, and one that I could have for a lot longer, because this is the kind of discussion that I really love to hear. But sadly, we can't carry on forever. So before we go, where can people find you? Where should they be looking for you on the internet to get in touch with you and see what you do?
Okay, so Instagram right now is a great one, at Wisp Wonder Illustrations. That is where I am sort of mainly focused at the moment. I will soon be moving on to TikTok, because everybody that I speak to keeps saying, "Oh, I've seen this on TikTok," and I go, "I'm not on TikTok."
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, like every time it's like someone with a hammer going,
Yeah.
"Get on TikTok." So
Please.
soon TikTok. And then my website as well, which is wispandwonder.co.uk.
Yeah.
But yeah, those are probably the best places to find me.
Fantastic. Listen, this has been a really great chat, and we must do it again sometime, and let's capture proper. In the meantime, I'm going to say thanks ever so much for coming along, and I'll see you
Thank
soon.
you for having me.
No worries. Take care.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you. Bye.
And there you go, folks. What an absolutely fascinating discussion with Kat from Wisp and Wonder. Do you know what? It really is wonderful to see an artist who cares so much about what they do and also produces just such wonderful end products. It really is fabulous. If you are planning a wedding and you want something that is personal, artistic, and genuinely memorable, not only for your guests, but also for you, I wholeheartedly recommend you go and check out Kat at Wisp and Wonder Illustrations. You can find her on Instagram at Wisp and Wonder Illustrations, and also online at wispandwonder.co.uk. It's well worth a look to see the style and detail of her work. As always, thank you for watching and listening, and just for being here. If you've enjoyed this episode, please like it, subscribe, follow, and share. As always, it really will help people to make some great choices for their wedding. And until next time, folks, do remember to choose your suppliers wisely, and I'll see you on another episode of the Supplier Spotlight podcast. Take care.